Outside your comfort zone as an introvert to grow your business might seem daunting, but it is achievable with some strategic approaches. And one of the first things I always like to say to anyone who tells me they are struggling with comfort zone challenges is to start with small steps. When I initially started to feel the overwhelm of being in my comfort zone and wanting to step out, that was one of the first thing I did to start with small steps. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to step outside of your comfort zone and grow your business with some actionable tips. Hey guys, welcome to another live session. This is the final video in the Overcoming Your Comfort Zone Challenges series. I did 3 videos. This is my final video. So I did 2 videos before. And the first video, we spoke about how comfort zones can ruin your life. I spoke about how I identified that I was living in a comfort zone and the things I did to overcome them, right? And then in the second video, I spoke about some harder truths about overcoming your comfort zones, right? I spoke about the possibility of you regressing, and even though you may step outside of your comfort zone at one level, it doesn't end there. You have to constantly challenge yourself and step outside of your comfort zone. So in this video, really, I have decided to create this video specifically for my introverts who are entrepreneurs, or my introverts who are, starting aside, also just my introverts in generally, but the focus is more on how to grow your business as an introvert. But if you're not an introvert, you don't identify as an introvert, this video is still for you, because really and truly, comfort zone is limited to any one person, any one thing. And I just really feel led to speak to my introverts because I also identify as an introvert, and I know the challenges of really stepping outside of your comfort zone, especially when you like to just be in your own little space. So I am just excited to just talk to you guys, just sharing my personal experience in terms and what worked for me in terms of stepping outside of my comfort zone and how I started just to grow my business that way. Right. So we are going to be talking about how to step outside of your comfort zone. And the first thing that we are going to touch on is start small and start with small steps, right? So that is what I would say. The first actionable tip I would give anyone in terms of stepping outside of their comfort zone is to start small. No, I am a girl who set big goals, have big dreams, have big vision, big everything. But one of the things I find works is starting small. No, you might be thinking about starting a business, or you're growing your business, or you want to pivot. And of course, starting something new requires a new level, a new version of you that you have never met. But like I like to say, it already exists. And so, with that big goal, I like to say, break it down in small steps. Identify the task that you really need to start doing, right? And maybe that big goal for you is to do an IG live, or to do a YouTube live to promote your business more, or to share the story behind your business, and you want to move from behind the scenes to in front of the camera, which was pretty much my journey. And one of the things I did was to say, okay, fine, I want to start going live. Let me start doing Instagram stories, because I'm going to be so honest. I had some very irrational fears about being online in terms of showing my face or being on camera. And because I realized that my own comfort zones wasn't working for me, one of the things I decided to do was to start doing Instagram stories. And so I started to do Instagram stories, start sharing my stories, start sharing tips here and there, and showing my face. After doing Instagram stories, one of the things I started to do then was to start doing IG reels. Now with IG reels, you're showing your face, you're telling more your story, you're putting yourself a little bit more out there, right? And then the other step for me was really start recording YouTube videos. So, recording YouTube videos for me was a little overwhelming because I was setting up a camera, and I know that after setting up the camera, I would have to, what would I say, publish it online where the world, would see it, or there's a possibility for persons to see it. And one of the things that I started to do was to do the YouTube videos. And in the beginning stages, it was very overwhelming for me, but eventually I got a hang of it, right? To the point where now I'm doing YouTube lives, right? But before I even reached YouTube lives, one of the other things I was doing was just testing out IG live. And, that was also a little overwhelming for me. But what I'm saying is that you have to start small. You have to identify your goal. And we're going to touch on that because that's actually my second point, which is you have to start with small steps. And guys, I have my notes here just to remind me of some things, because I don't want to leave out anything for you guys. I just want you to just remember to start small. And you can be, like I said, begin with challenging yourself with manageable tasks that will push your boundaries, right? The goal is to push your boundaries, right? So you're starting small, but the goal is to push your boundaries. So have that goal in mind. It's okay to dream big. It's because I'm that big dreamer girl, but it's also important for you to start small, and from there, then you can do what's necessary, right, to grow your business. All right. So, number two is for you to set clear goals. I want you guys to set clear goals. Remember to set clear goals, because if you don't set clear goals about what you want and why you even want to do it, a big part of me, I would tell you this. You have to set clear goals, but also know why you want to achieve that thing or why you want that particular thing. And so I would say to set clear goals. And one of those things for me, again, is when I was starting my business, was that I wanted to do more than just being behind the scenes. I wanted to share my story more. I wanted to share my knowledge more than anything else. And for that, the reason for it was, for me, I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to do more than just being so comfortable with what I already knew, right? I was okay with blogging. I was okay with posting on social media. I was just okay with a lot of these things. And so it was just important for me to set clear goals and to do what I needed to do to step outside of my comfort zone. So whether it's expanding your client base, whether it's doing more networking, it is important for you to be clear on what you want to achieve and why. And then from there, it gets easier for you to step outside of your comfort zone, right? Right. And for point number three, it is to leverage online platforms. Now, this is a big one for me. Leveraging your online platform as an introvert it can be your super tool, and you can use your superpower to leverage this tool, right? So here's what I'm talking about. With social media, one of the things that I did was to identify a platform that I was comfortable with. And I've been using social media from the days of high school, like i5, MySpace, whatever. But when it came to business, I identified a platform that I was comfortable with. And one of the things I like to do, or how I started to leverage online platforms, was just writing, right? So I would like update, hey guys, this is a project I worked on, and I shared my projects that I was working on, or I'd write a blog post sharing my knowledge, right? So I started leveraging online platforms, and even with just networking, I wasn't very confident in networking in person because I was just so shy, I would say. And so what I leveraged at the time was LinkedIn. I would send like cold messages or emails to persons, like if I wanted assistance with something, or I was working towards a project and I wanted an insight from someone, I would just send them cold mails. I like introduce myself and tell them what I'm about, or introduce my business. And I got really good responses, right? So for me, I learned how to leverage social media, and that's one of my superpower. That's one of the reasons why I talk so much about building your online presence. You can build your online presence even as an introvert, even with $0, because I know the power of social media, you know. And so, like I said, leverage, find a social media platform that you are comfortable with, that you know, or even if you don't know it yet, you want to really explore and utilize that platform. So utilize LinkedIn for like cold messages, cold emails. Then I started, really leveraging Instagram for like stories and engagement. But outside of that, I was doing just a lot of blogging. I was just writing a lot. So you have to know your strength and also identify the platform that you'll feel comfortable with, but also be very mindful that that's where your audience is, especially with growing a business. And based on the type of business you have, some platforms really would work best for you. So you have to just really leverage that some more and be very mindful, right? So I have my point here, which is leverage the power of digital platforms to promote your business and connect with potential clients. And I did say that earlier. So, social media, email marketing, online platforms can be really valuable tools for you as an introvert. And I know that really well because, like I said, I used LinkedIn to really promote my business and connect with persons, to share my knowledge, to connect, to learn from them. And even I even got mentors through LinkedIn just by simply sending a message. There's a video on my channel where I spoke about how to leverage LinkedIn as an introvert. So if you identify as an introvert and you struggle with connecting, you can check out that video. But really and truly, what I shared in that video, I can just give you a quick synopsis, is that I was going to Seattle for a young professionals trip, right? And I'm in a city, I don't know anyone outside of the persons I traveled with to Seattle. And someone said to me, "Hey, Carey, there's this Jamaican lady who I think you really should connect with in Seattle." And all I did was to go. I went on LinkedIn. I found her information. At the time, I think she had like LinkedIn Premium. And guys, I paid like $27 just to message this lady, right? Which means I could have messaged her and she did not respond. But listen, I'm a girl that when I want something, I am going to go for it at any cost, right? Not really at any cost, but you know what I mean. So I paid for the LinkedIn Premium and I sent her a message as like, "Hey, I'm Carey-Lee. I'm from Jamaica. This is what I'm doing in Seattle. I'd really love to connect with you while I'm here." And in no time, she responded, and we got a chance to meet up and everything. And we formed this type of relationship or bond, I would say, where I got to tour the Facebook, what I'd say, the premises, and we had an opportunity to engage, and we formed this relationship now where I can call on her for anything, or we just stay in touch. So what I am saying is find a social media platform, an online platform that works for you, and leverage it for your business. And if you identify as an introvert, listen, this is I tell everybody that this social media, for me, especially because I like being behind the scene, was and is my superpower. The only difference with now is that I've got more confidence, and I've stepped way outside of my comfort zone way more, where I can do live videos now. But for if you are where I was, I want you to just know that, listen, there are no limits to what you can achieve. You just have to, like I said in the first point, is to start small. And also in my second point, I mentioned you should have very clear goals. And once you have clear goals and know why you want to achieve a particular thing, then of course it gets easier for you to step outside of your comfort zone. All right, so let's slide right into my other point, and this is focus on your strengths. So, one of the important things I want you to realize is that when you focus on your strengths as an introvert, you can get so much more in terms of just growing your business, right? And when I talk about focusing on your strengths, you have to know yourself really well, right? Self awareness is key in this case, right? So for me, I know my strength. My strength is creativity. I like to design. I am great at that. I'm great at social media strategy. I am great at content creation, right? And so, what I did to grow my business in terms of just leveraging my strength was the design. I design and I share my projects and I share what I'm doing online. I share them on LinkedIn, I share them on Instagram. I would share my knowledge. So another thing that I'm really great at is being able to identify gaps and identify opportunities. So I just identified my strengths, right? And then leverage them across all platforms. So if you follow me on any social media platform, you'll realize at a great degree I like to share my what I say, my experience. I like to share my knowledge, and of course I'd share my design. I like to share my work as well, right? I don't think I do it as much as I should, but that's something that I know that I am good at. That's my strength. Another one of my strengths, like I said, is just identifying gaps. And when I identify gaps, I can say, okay, I know what is not working and I know what's working, and then I find ways to make it work for me, right? So let me just give you a typical example. One of the things that happened recently, let's talk about this. So, one of the things I did recently, so I enjoy watching Shark Tank. I love Shark Tank. Just overall, I think the persons who go on the show, they have a lot of guts and bravery and courage, right? So there was this particular woman entrepreneur who was on the show, and she was promoting her business, and they're telling her like, hey, you're doing really good with sales and whatever, but you are not leveraging social media, and if you leverage social media, you can do way better. You can grow your business even more. And she shared that her challenge was, she don't like social media. She's a little fearful of it, and that was something she struggled with, right? So she was living in her comfort zone by not leveraging social media. Instantly, I got this brave idea to say, hey, I am going to message this lady and say, hey, I can help you with your social media strategy. I can help you with your social media content. I can help you to grow online, and I can help you to just find small ways how you can step outside of your comfort zone, right? I don't know if she identified as an introvert. I just knew it was something she is struggling with. So, one of the things, like I said, I know my strength. I know that, hey, I can spot the gaps, I can spot opportunities, and I just went after it. So, I went on Instagram, I messaged this girl, told her that I love what she was doing in terms of her business. And then, she responded to me. She responded to me to say, hey, Carey, thank you for reaching out. Thank you for wanting to help with social media and everything for my business. But I found help, right? So she found the help, and that was totally fine. But what I'm saying is, we have to find and know our strengths and start stepping outside of our comfort zone. And that was really good for me. And even after that, I just started just to find ways we could even work together, even though she didn't want my social media services at the time. But I even spoke with her recently in terms of, wanting to, I found another opportunity just to work with her. And all I'm saying, guys, is that you have to know your strengths. Even if you're an introvert, even if you're in a comfort zone, you really have to know your strength and just leverage that strength to grow your business, right? It gives you exposure, and it gives an opportunity for persons to be aware of you. All right. So if you have any questions, or if you are currently struggling with your comfort zone, I want you to comment below and tell me one thing you're struggling with. And if you have ever stepped outside of your comfort zone to achieve something, and I'm sure you have, right? Because if you have not stepped out of your comfort zone, that means, girl, you're not growing, right? And I know one of the things, in order to achieve our goals, we have to do uncomfortable things, and that was also something that I touched on in my last video. Now we are going to slide over onto our next point, and it is to challenge negative thoughts. No, this is a very big one, right? So how do you step outside of your comfort zone? Is to challenge negative thoughts. And one of the things that is very real when you want to step outside of your comfort zone is that you will have fears. Fear is inevitable, right? You cannot you can't have a big goal and don't have some amount of fear associated with it. But one of the things I spoke about in my last video on the hard truths about overcoming comfort zones is that we just have to constantly challenge those limiting beliefs and those fears, right? And I want to share a quick thing with you, right? So years ago, I created this, what I call it, a goal sheet, a make it happen goal sheet, right? And how I came about creating this goal sheet was, And I created it through my platform called For Women to Women. And how I created this goal sheet was, at the time I wanted to do more than hiding behind my comfort zone, or hiding behind my the what am I saying? I was hiding behind the scenes. I wanted to do more than just that. And I realized I had a lot of limiting beliefs about myself and what I could do. And I said, you know what? I'm going to create this goal sheet that will help me to challenge those fears and to challenge those limiting beliefs, right? So on this goal sheet, I'm not sure if you guys can see clearly, but I have the date, I have the word for the month. And then in this little section, I have fears I need to overcome to make it happen. And then I have, for this month, I'm committed to making blank happen. Then I have three things I'm committed to making happen. And then I spoke about what I need to do to over outside of my comfort zone to make it happen, right? Pretty much, I created something for myself to help me to not only challenge my negative thoughts, but also challenge limiting beliefs and my fears. Created this goal sheet. And guys, let me tell you something. This goal sheet was the sheet that helped me to identify fears that I was struggling with and find ways to challenge those beliefs, right? So what I'm saying is that we're not perfect humans. We're humans. I mean, we can be intentional about thinking positive and being positive. But the reality is that we will have fears. And sometimes with those fears and limiting beliefs, we'll have negative thoughts that are, like, oh, I can't do this thing, or oh, I'm not equipped, or I'm not enough, or, I'm too this or I'm too that, right? So even with me, coming on YouTube, one of the things I used to critique myself about a lot is, oh, I don't feel like I look my best today. And of course, when you're creating videos, you want to look your best, right? Or it's, oh, I put on, especially if you're on YouTube, you're gaining weight, you're losing weight, you're so conscious about your body, conscious about yourself. But listen, I just challenge those negative thoughts. I was like, listen, I have things to do. I'm equipped. I don't care about losing, gaining weight. I have things to share. I want to step outside of my comfort zone. I'm going to do it regardless. So, like I am saying, is that we have to challenge the negative beliefs. One of the other things I was struggling with was just fumbling over my words. I've not mastered that yet. I've not mastered the perfection of public speaking, or, being the most eloquent person. But here's the thing, we'll make mistakes so we can learn from them. And the more you do it, the more you practice, the better you get, right? And that is what challenging your limiting beliefs, challenging fears, and just doing what you have to do will help you to achieve, right? So I see a comment here. I got this comment. I am hopelessly introverted. I'm extremely creative, but hide behind my products for fear of putting myself out there. So I just want to address this comment, right? Listen, I understand what you mean. You say you're hopelessly introverted. And let me tell you, Simone, you are not hopeless. Let me tell you. You just want to identify that limit. What is the fear really? What is the fear? I want you to challenge yourself, write down your fear. What is the fear? And you'll realize that that fear is a lie. That's the first thing. Once you identify that fear, you're going to realize, this fear is a lie. But I want you to also identify what is one thing you can do that will make you feel a little comfortable, but still outside of your comfort zone, that will help you to move one step closer to achieving your goal, right? So you want to share your products more. Amazing. And I'm sure you have great products, but people probably want to hear the story behind your products. What inspired you to start creating those products, right? Like for me, I create Canva videos. Me creating Canva videos or sharing my Canva knowledge or even knowing how to use Canva did not happen by what I'd say. It didn't happen randomly, right? My story really started out where I left my job in 2015, right? And I took on another job in 2016. And during that little gap before I got that job, I was like, you know what? I want to start making some money online. And that was a goal I had all long time. But what I did was I went on Fiverr and I started, applying for gigs here and there. And one of the things I realized is that my clients, they started to request Canva designs. They wanted graphic designs, but not necessarily in Photoshop. They wanted Canva designs that they could utilize in their business, that they could edit, right? And I was before I got the job, I was unemployed. I was trying to figure out things, I was exploring all the options to make money online. And it was just the fact that I started doing graphic designing as a side hustle, and then my clients like, hey, listen, I want to use Canva. And that was how I got introduced to Canva. I started designing on Canva, and I got better over time. And the better I got and start exploring the tool, it was how I start creating Canva templates, and then I start sharing. I start tell everybody about Canva, and I start getting what I say more gigs in Canva and start promoting myself. In my own introverted way, or and then eventually I was like, you know what? I want to start doing a YouTube video. I want to start sharing my knowledge, and Canva was, well, let me be very honest. Canva was the first video that I did, and if you go back to 2020 when I started this channel, I did a Canva video. I was not showing my face. All I have was a faceless Canva tutorial. My second video was also like that, right? But what I'm saying this to say is that people want to hear your story. And Digital Jamaica, I'm going to link it below. But Digital Jamaica did a really good video with an expert in video, and what she was talking about, how to build your confidence on camera. I also have a video on that on my channel in terms of getting over your fear of being on camera. But I think that video by Digital Jamaica was really good because I even got some personal tips from there. Um, and she just spoke about people want to hear your story. People connect with you even more when they know who is behind the brand and the story behind the brand. So I'm just saying all of that to say, identify that fear, and I wanted to challenge that fear and that limiting belief that you might have. All right. And we're going to slide right on into our next point. And the other point that we have is to embrace opportunities for growth, right? I want you to view stepping outside of your comfort zone as an opportunity for growth, right? So you want to adopt what would I call this? A growth mindset, right? Let me tell you again, in terms of stepping outside of your comfort zone, it will require you to take on new challenges, and there are going to be opportunities that you really want to do, and the fear that you have will be like, I want to do it, but I'm so fearful. But listen, it's an opportunity you want to do. So guess what? You're going to challenge that fear, right? I'm going to give you an example again. When I got invited to speak in India, I was no big speaker. I was no speaker like that all day. And I was only invited, or the main reason I was invited was because I was building a platform, or I had a platform called For Women to Women, and they wanted me to share my story of how I built that platform, and talk about the impact of my platform, and how even my journey led me to creating that platform, right? So I wasn't no big speaker. You can imagine doing a speaking event, and I going to where India. And I was like, when they invited me, I was like, going to India sounds good. I've never been to India, but being on the stage is also like a very, we call it, overwhelming, but I found ways to make it work, right? So one of the things that I started to do was I started to reach out to friends and my network, like, hey, I'm going to India, I'm going to speak about this topic, how can you help me? Right? I started creating writing my speech, and I started practicing my speech, right? So stepping outside of your comfort zone is not going to be like, oh, you're just going to jump into something new. It takes small steps, but it also takes you wanting more for yourself, right? So yeah, I got invited to India, and even when I went to India, when I arrived in India, I was so nervous up to the day before I did my actual speech, right? I was so nervous up to the day I was going to do my speech. And I remember I shared this story, and I always share this story, right? I was in my hotel room the night before the day to do my speech. And I was in my bed. I was so uneasy. I was like, no, man, I don't feel confident enough to go on that stage tomorrow and share my story. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go downstairs and practice. And I came out of the room, and that was like after like minutes to 12, after 12 thereabouts. Came out of my room, I had my iPad, I had my notes, and I went downstairs and I started practicing, right? And mind you, I was practicing before, but I don't know, the nerves of knowing that I was going to speak was just so overwhelming, right? And I went downstairs and I was practicing. And the more I was practicing, I was just fumbling over my words and fumbling over my words and fumbling over my words. But the more I practiced, the better I got, right? I got really good, like, at saying my speech, until the point I was like, you know what? Before I go upstairs to my room, before I go to my bed tonight, I am going to go into the room where I'm going to say that speech tomorrow, and I'm going to practice. Listen, man. So I went in the room, and there was someone in there cleaning, right? They were cleaning the room, and I was like, you know what? That's part of me. I want to go on the stage and do my practice. He was like, oh, yeah, no problem. That don't matter to me. I'm just doing my job. Do whatever you want to do. Just don't mess up the room. And I went on the stage and I went with my iPad and I started practicing that speech again. I said that speech, and the more I practiced, the more confidence I got, right? So, what I'm saying is, with stepping outside of your comfort zones, you have to embrace the opportunities, right? And when you embrace opportunities for growth, you realize more and more you get better at things, right? So, I want you to think about all of these things I've said before. I've talked about just starting small. I've talked about just being clear on your goals and being clear on why you want to achieve these things. I've also talked about, I think, challenging your negative patterns or negative thoughts, right? I think I'm missing another point. And I talk about utilizing social media platform, right? So those are some things that you can do to step outside of your comfort zone. No, on my point, I have another point I want to share, which is to celebrate your wins. Listen, man, stepping outside of your comfort zone is already challenging enough. You want to make sure you celebrate your wins. So I wanted to acknowledge and celebrate your achievements along the way, no matter how. Don't be modest about it. Listen, do not be modest about your wins. As someone who is introverted and struggle with fear and struggle with limiting beliefs, I'm gonna tell you, don't be shy about your wins. I used to do that for a very long time. It's like, oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, I did. Be bold, be confident. Yeah, man. I went to India and I did the speaking engagement and it got a good reception. Oh yeah, man. I used to be so fearful. Now I start doing YouTube videos and I'm more confident on camera. Yeah. Tell people what you do, celebrate your wins, celebrate yourself, right? Celebrating those small victories will boost your confidence, right? So I feel more confident now. I'm doing this live, and let me tell you guys, I don't know if you have watched any of my videos before. If you have not watched any of my videos before, you can scan the QR code, right? You can scan the QR code to watch this three-part series, right? This three-part series. And what I've been saying is, listen, share your wins, right? Share your wins, tell people what you do, right? But one of the things I think I missed something a while ago, but what I was really saying here is, you want to you want to celebrate your wins. And for me, one of the things I've gotten more confident with since I've started this live series, right, for overcoming your comfort zones, is that I've gotten more comfortable with being on live, right? Stepping out, being on live is outside of my comfort zone, because here's one of the things, and I spoke about this in my last video, right? In terms of when I was talking about hard truths. Listen, man, you can step outside of your comfort zone and fail. Yeah, you stepping outside of your comfort zone don't guarantee that you are going to win. But what it guarantees is that you're going to learn a lesson. You're going to learn from your mistakes. And you're going to learn how you can do things differently, right? So me doing live videos right now is me totally outside of my comfort zone. I remember the first time I went live to do something like this in terms of sharing my knowledge. Listen, man, I call it a total flop. Me think me just flop because I don't know. I was just so nervous. I was so nervous. I don't know why I was so nervous. And again, it's just the lies, the fear or the lies I was telling myself or believing. I was so nervous. And after that live, listen, I decided, no man, this live can't stay on social media. I'm going to take it down. So I did actually archive the video, then download the video. But what I did after that video was to like message, the persons I knew joined and ask them like, hey, how was the live for you? How you feel like I could improve? And they told me, just slow down, take your time, because I know what you're doing, that kind of thing. And I knew that too. But I'm saying all that to say, like, my first live that I did in this type of event, it was a flop. It was a big flop. But what I want you to do and to just know is that you start small, you start do your thing, and you keep growing, right? So, I want you to just remember these things. You can grow your business with all these actionable steps. First one, start small, right? Second point, set clear goals. Third point, utilize online platforms. And I have a great story about that. And if you want to learn how to build your online presence, I am your girl, right? Whether you're introverted or you're the most confident out there and you want to grow your online presence, I am your girl. The other point is to focus on your strengths, know what you're good at, and share that with the world. Yeah. And challenge negative thoughts and also embrace opportunities for growth and celebrate your wins. Celebrate what you're good at, right? Because growth happens outside of your comfort zone. Like you have no choice but to step outside of your comfort zone. And in my notebook journal, Made to Shine, Don't Sleep on Your Greatness, this is a great tool, I would say, because this is like a first version, but this is the second version of revamping it and turning it into a journal notebook where I have a monthly Made to Shine goal sheet, um, where you look at your big goals for the month, fears you need to overcome, and then at the end of the month, you track what you actually got done, the fears that you challenged, and then you have a reflection space, right? And, just showing you. So if you want this journal notebook, the link will be available in the description and you can get it, right? So if you want to watch I want to watch this entire series, binge watch it, take your notes, and leave with some actionable tips. I shared a lot of them. I shared a lot of personal stories. And I just want to thank you for just watching this video. If you're here to the end, I want to thank you for being a part of the journey, for watching this video. And until next time, bye.